Hey again, my name is Dominik, and I'm the engineering manager of growth at Productboard. Today, I would like to talk about growth engineering, what it is, and why I think it's becoming more relevant to all software engineers than ever. Let me start with a question. Why doesn't great code always lead to great outcomes? We, as engineers, care about what we build. We obsess about things like architecture, clean code, scalability. Rightfully so, that's our craft. But the truth is, that the code doesn't always lead to success. You might have worked on a feature that you have been really proud of, and after a few weeks or months, you might have learned that it didn't make really any difference. And the code is not what was the problem, but the fact that we didn't know what really matters. It might have been the fact that we didn't understand what's the definition of success. How does the success look like? Maybe we haven't been really looking into the way how our users are interacting with the new feature. Or we might have been working on a problem that wasn't important in the first place. And that's where growth engineering comes in. It helps us to build the habits and system that allow us to learn and iterate fast and address the right problems and solve the right problems so we can drive outcomes. So let's look what growth engineering really is. It is the intersection of software engineering, product intuition, and business context. Growth engineering is combining those to drive measurable outcomes through experimentation. And how does growth engineer work on day-to-day basis? First step is that we analyze data. We look into qualitative and quantitative data about our customers, and we collect insights. Based on those, we define hypotheses, and we design experiments that we run to validate those ideas. From those experiments, we always collect learnings. The experiment might fail or succeed. If it succeeds, we can go and we can build a feature, or we can take this feature and actually hand it over to a core product team that can drive this feature forward. But in each case, we learn from the data that we've collected from the experiment. And if it fails, well, we go and we have to remove the stuff. We don't keep the features that don't drive any outcomes in our product. It's also important to talk about the system that growth engineers work on and build. If you would look across typical companies that have growth function, you might see that they usually work on event tracking and instrumentation, which is the foundational piece for any outcome-driven development. Very often, they also own the experimentation infrastructure. They are the champions of experimentation, and they help other teams to set up multivariate testing and analyze the results of those for future development. And last but not least, we own systems that are more connected to growth, like billing, onboarding flows, product qualified lead engines, or notifications. Let's look at the domains the growth team at Productboard actually owns. At the bottom, we actually own infrastructure. So the growth team is responsible for tenant provisioning, the experimentation platform, and onboarding platform. These are offered to all our other engineering teams to leverage and build on top of. On top of those, we have systems that we maintain and we work mainly as growth team. Examples of those are, for example, monetization platform and product qualified lead engine I talked about in the previous slide. And at the right top, we have some features that we as growth build and we further iterate on, such as templates that we use to help our customers adopt and use Productboard more easier. Let's look into one specific experiment that we've run in our growth team and that has been successful. So back in last year, beginning of the last year, we released a new plan. It's a starter plan, and it's a free plan. Up until then, when you sign up for Productboard, you had 15 days trial, and after the trial ended, you would only have a choice to subscribe. So there was no way how to continue using and learning how you can use Productboard. We designed an experiment with a reverse trial mechanism. So we actually said that once your trial expires, you have two choices. You can subscribe or you can continue using a free plan. That plan obviously has more limited functionality, but what it allows you to do is to continuously learn how you can leverage Productboard more within your workflow, and it also helps us to build a brand awareness, because now we have more customers that are actually using Productboard, and they are sharing their roadmaps and other artifacts that have our logo on it, and they can drive further growth. The outcome was that the starter, the plan on its own, adds 1% in conversion. So it brings measurable ARR into our company. So the question is, who can be a growth engineer? The short answer is everyone. The principles I laid out are not something you have to have a growth engineering title on. Growth engineering might be a function on its own, as we have it in Productboard, or it can be even embedded in product teams or other teams and work with the other functions in the same team. What you should do is to always start small. Iterate, test, and learn fast from what you are doing. No matter your team, you should always know your customer. It means that even as a platform team, which your customers are internal customers, you should care about what the problems they face and design measurable experiments that help drive improvement. We live in an age where AI is transformative. A lot of our work as engineers is becoming commodized. They are exponentially improving language models, and I believe what will matter the most as an engineering skill is knowing what to build and why, rather than how. So I would like to end with a call to action. Start thinking like a growth engineer. Start small, test often, and focus on outcomes, not output, to make bigger impact on your work. Growth engineering is the mindset and principles, how we stop guessing and we start learning, one test at a time. With that, thank you, and go build something that's worth measuring. Okay, questions? About that 1% conversion on the free plan experiment, how does the revenue compare to the cost for those that are staying on free? How did you define success? So for us, the metrics was that we wanted to see a reasonable increase in conversion. We didn't want to like lose revenue by having a free plan. Essentially, that was the metric that we also had to know that we need to stop the experiment if we see this happening. And then there was the brand awareness, which is harder to measure, but obviously you can have some analytics about that. What we see is that the starter plan is essentially our first step towards leveraging the increasing customer base that stays on this plan, and it allows us to reach to those customers later, and we can design campaigns, we can design product changes that would gradually incentivize them to convert. So without that, we would not even have this opportunity to reach back to those customers. We would lose them immediately after those 15 days. So while the current performance of the starter is 1%, we are thinking about improvements on how we can increase this to even bigger chunk of the conversion. And a few things how you can think about it is, like, you can make the plan somehow more limited, or you can do more upgrade prompts and so on to actually drive more conversion on the free plan. But you do have that customer base that you can always reach to. overall or specifically from the free plan? Like, is it like clean that data compared to like just what is expected from like the normal conversion that is like clearly coming from the free? And also like what's the time scale on the +1%? Like a month, a quarter? Yes. So it's per month, and it is just coming from free. So we know that those 1% of customers converted from starter, and that they didn't come from any other source. It's still the same one. Anything else to this one? Can we move? Do you see the engineering manager role is crucial to communicate the goals and outcomes so that team works towards that? Yes, I believe that's part of my role here, is to make sure that everyone on the team understand the goals and the key results that we want to drive as team. So while this unfortunately doesn't come as a default in software engineering, it is a muscle that we can learn, and that is being something I actually emphasize and champion for within our team.
Thank you. Like with the 1%, it seems like a small percentage, right? So I'm wondering, how do you know if something is like a statistical variance, right? So like just like it could have been random versus it's an actual result.
So I like in terms of the conversion, like. We do know the absolute number of customers we have in a given month and the revenue that comes from it. So like in this case, like the 1% is something we can trust in terms of the number that we calculate. While, as I said, it is a starter point, it can lead to, it's still better to have at least 1% of revenue, depending on the size of the revenue you have in the company, it can be meaningful income that you have on top of what we didn't have before. So I think it's been quite impactful in terms of the experiment and the business result that it brought. What is the difference between product owners and grow engineers? We don't have the product owner function defined. Like we have product managers that are part of every team. What is the difference is that growth engineers are much closer to the technical implementation of any experiment feature. They have this intimate knowledge of how the product actually works, even better than the product manager has, and they can bring insights. So we actually involve growth engineers in our discovery. So we have customer talks, we have customer calls where engineers are present and they learn what are the customer problems firsthand, and they, because of that context, they can come up with different solutions that we might have missed so far. So one thing is the collaboration that we have within the team, and the other thing is that they set up the experiments, and they actually advise on how should the distribution, how should the targeting work, because they know like what data we can use to target the customer on based on the application surface where we are running the experiment and so on. So that's like some additional special value that the growth engineering brings into the table. Does it make sense to design for scalability in the early stages of the product? Well, I want to say no. The reason is that on the slide I was mentioning that you should start small. Like it comes to a product feature, anything you work on. If you can't start small, it's probably you will spend more time to actually get something to the market, and the market will move in the meantime. And then you miss the extremely valuable opportunity to learn from the market on what are the problems, what the customer actually needs to solve using your product. So my recommendation would be to always start to design an experience that you can get to the market the fastest, and then actually experiment and learn from the customer using it to drive any further development. You might also learn that this is a dead path and that you will have to stop. And I think it's better to understand that the earliest rather than later. What tools do you use to analyze data? And how long does an experiment take? That's a great question. So we use, as part of our stack, we use multiple tools. We use Amplitude for product analytics. Then we use Looker too. And for running the experimentation, we use LaunchDarkly. We use all these to design and evaluate the experiments. And the length of the experiment varies by the surface. So if you take an experiment on a marketing website, that one might be quite short-lived because you get to the statistical significance faster due to the traffic that you have on that page. But if we go in-app and maybe further down the user journey, obviously the length of the experiment has to be longer because not that many customers actually reach that point. So it really depends on where do we place the experiment. For the in-product experiments, we usually end up between 3 to 4 weeks.
Any other question from the audience? If not, please give a big applause for Dominik for his presentation. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, we have one last question. Do you also use A/B testing?
Yeah, happy to take it on. Yes. So the LaunchDarkly platform allows us to run multivariate testing. So A/B testing, obviously we do, but we also do multivariate, so more than A/B. And then we also did time-based testing. So that's for example, when we don't have that much traffic on a given surface.